Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new here, and welcome to another video of creepy things that kids say. We're at the final and last video of this set, and I'm kind of sad that it's almost over, and will be at the end of this video. If you guys have more things that you would like me to cover or talk about, I would be happy to hear them. So please do leave them down below in the description while you are listening to this video. I would love to hear more creepy things that kids have said, whether it's to you, your friends, family, neighbors, or just things that you've heard on the street. With that being said, let us get to the last of this list of creepy things that kids say. My son told me the exact same thing. He was 5 at the time and we were driving home. He randomly says to me, "Mom, you know I'm really supposed to be 8, but I waited for you because I knew you'd be a good mom." I thank God every day for him because it was at that moment I realized my purpose and had also experienced a love that only God could give. This post was actually referring back to number 40, so if you've watched all the videos, I'm sure you'll be able to figure out which that one is. When my son was 3 years old, he stood by my bedside and said, "Mommy, I know how I died." He then did a slicing motion across his neck, and it didn't faze him. Mind you, he was 3. All we ever watched were G-rated shows. When my 7-year-old heard him, she said, "I know that. I was his nurse and tried to help him." She later filled in more information that led me to believe she was talking about the American Civil War. To this day, it still blows my mind. We moved into the house my father-in-law had passed away in when our son was 18 months old. Many times I would catch him talking to someone, and he always said it was Grandpa. Once, when I was lying with him to get him to go to sleep, he asked me to scoot over. When I asked why, he said Grandpa Martin wanted to lay down. He played with him and referenced him the entire 2+ years that we lived there. We moved just before he turned 4, and he has never talked about him again. My grandmother died when my youngest was 4, so I chose not to have him at the funeral or the burial. Every day on the way to his older brother's school, we would pass the cemetery where she was buried. One day we passed by and he said, "That's where Granny is. I miss her so much." Completely freaked out, as there was no way he could know this, I said, "How do you know that, baby?" And he says, "Because she told me so when she came and saw me a few days ago." Yep. When my brother was 3 and I was 9, our great-grandmother died and we were both at the funeral, although he didn't understand what was happening. The next morning, he complained about a bright tunnel that he dreamt about, and he didn't want to go, so he woke up. Well then. My little cousin was about 4 when she came into my other cousin's, her aunt's, room, crying really hard. We asked her what was wrong, and she said that the witch in the trees was bothering her. You could see a field of trees from the bedroom window. So her aunt yelled out the window, "Leave my niece alone." A flock of birds flew out of the trees. My little cousin said, "Okay, she's gone," and then smiled really, really hard and left the room. My daughter, when she was 3 or 4, had an imaginary friend. She said his name was Kocho and he was all bones. My 3-year-old walked in one day and introduced me to her friends. I was excited. She had her first imaginary friends and started to introduce me. My daughter then stopped me and said, "No, Mom, these are my cousins." Playing along, I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't recognize you. Who's your mom?" My daughter answered, "Aunt Nicole will be." My sister Nicole had been battling with infertility for many years. I called and told her about it. She ran out and got tested and found out she was pregnant. Oh, that's really cute. My 4-year-old niece asked me, "Do you know why babies can't talk?" I answered, "Because they haven't learnt yet." She said, "No, because they still know too much." Interesting. I was on a bus recently and we were stopped outside a walk-in clinic. A little girl in the seat in the front of me turned to her dad and said, "Death is the poor man's doctor." And that was that. Never realized this was an Irish proverb. Context, I'm Irish. My son inherited my innate talent of seeing ghosts, so it's nothing scary, but the downside is he never wants to sleep alone and always with his mom. Me alone all the time because the bed isn't fit for 3 of us. I'm so sorry. One night I heard my little sister crying in her sleep. She was 5 at the time, and when I walked in and sat on her bed, she immediately stopped crying, sat up in her bed, opened her eyes, and screamed, and then fell back to sleep like nothing had ever happened. His teacher asked my 5-year-old son what his favorite activity was. He answered, "I love to sleep." More than playing soccer? More than anything in the world. I asked him why, and told me that I asked him why, the teacher said, and he said, because it's like to be dead, but without pain. Again, number 5 is being referenced twice after this, so I will just continue on. When I was like 6, my family used to go to the graveyard every Sunday to place flowers on my uncle's grave. I was bored out of my mind, so I asked my mom if I could go and walk around the graveyard, and she let me go because it wasn't a huge graveyard. I remember walking up to the graves and reading people's names, years that they passed away, and even talking to their family members if they happened to be there for some reason. I saw nothing creepy in that then, but now I'm really weirded out. From when I was a kid, "Mommy, look what I learned." Inserts tongue into mom's mouth during goodnight kiss. "I learned it from a movie. It means you love someone." My mom calmly got up without saying a word and walked out to her room. I still cringe pretty hard whenever I remember doing that. My 3-year-old looked at me and said, "You ruined my whole life." My daughter was about 2. I was giving her a bath. While I was standing her up, she asked, "What's the long knife?" I froze for a moment and said, "It's a sword." I didn't say anything else, and from there on, I tried really, really hard not to be in that world around her anymore. Slightly better than my daughter. My car, Golden Wings, my new pupper, Golden Wings, my neighbor's cat, Golden Wings. She's 7 and has done this her entire life. That is the last one. For those of you who are probably wondering what number 5 is, if people keep referencing it, obviously it was something pretty crazy. So we will go back to the beginning and find number 5. Aha. So this is what number 5 is, that 3 separate people have now referenced having some similar situation happen with their own children. My sister got hit by a drunk driver in April and totaled her car. She had my 4-year-old nephew and infant niece with her. When my mom arrived at the hospital, my nephew asked her if he would thank the big guys. "What big guys?" "Grammy, the big guys that were in the car with me when it got loud and scary, and they hugged me with their arms and kept me safe." Even the insurance adjuster cannot explain how either child escaped without a scratch. I do remember reading that one at the beginning, and I thought it was very, very interesting. So that is it for our Creepy Things That Kids Say video series. If you have more that you would like me to read, please leave them down below in the comment section or leave links to them or something, because I am really intrigued and really interested and want to learn more. With that being said, if you haven't already, please do hit the thumbs up button, the subscribe button, and turn on the notification bell, because I am uploading as much as possible during this intense time of moving, and I cannot wait to be putting out more videos for you guys and doing a lot more fun stuff. I love you guys all so very much, and I cannot wait to see you in the next video.